I think the court will render a ruling in which it says that the indictments of many of the people went too far by charging obstruction of justice. It doesn't apply to everybody, but I think it probably does apply to President Trump. He, too, as a citizen, had the right to petition his government for what he believed was a redress of grievances. He was wrong, in my view, but that doesn't affect his legal claim of acting under the First Amendment. So I think the Supreme Court may very well render a ruling that helps former President Trump, helps my client, and helps many others who were swept up in this. It's very important that everybody be treated as individuals. If you did something, if you went in there and you destroyed property deliberately, that's one thing. But if you simply objected to the way in which the votes were counted, even if you were wrong, that's a complete defense under the Constitution.
The fact that the federal judge in Trump's case has sort of paused the case at this point, does that change the timeline of when we could see this D.C.-related case go on?
Mm-hmm. This is all about timing. The prosecutors want a down and dirty conviction to affect the election before the election, knowing that they very well may be reversed on appeal, but that will be too late to affect the election. And so both sides are playing the timing game, and timing is always up to the judges themselves, how quickly they put the case on, how quickly they decide the case. And there's very little anybody can do to affect the timing of judges, but it really affects all of us, because there are many Americans who won't vote for somebody who has been convicted of a serious felony, whether it be on the Democratic side or the Republican side. So the criminal justice system has been weaponized by both sides to try to influence the election, and the losers are the American public. We're not getting fair justice on either side. We're getting politicized, weaponized partisan justice.
Can I switch topics with you? The call for genocide, the code of conduct on several different campuses. This was a question asked by the presidents of MIT, University of Pennsylvania, and Harvard. The UPenn president resigned. There was a call for Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard to step down. She was supported 100% to stay in her role. She is in her role right now, as is MIT's president as well. What are your thoughts on how this is playing out, the safety of Jewish students, and what should be addressed? As the House condemned the calls for genocide, and many House members calling for the presidents to step down. Where do you stand with that?
She wasn't supported by 100% of the faculty. I didn't support her. I wrote a whole book about this issue, War Against the Jews. And in the book, I have a lot of material about universities, and I have called for President Gay to resign. Look, Harvard has had a terrible record on free speech. They punish people for microaggressions. They fired a former president, Larry Summers, for expressing an opinion on a scientific issue. And suddenly, President Gay has discovered the First Amendment when it comes to advocating the genocide of Jews. Oh, the First Amendment applies there. It doesn't apply if you say something negative about a protected group of people, African Americans or gays or transgenders, but you can say anything you want about Jews. And I think by her own standards, she should resign. I think the DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which are the incubators of anti-Semitism on campus, they divide people by race and they turn people against each other, should be dismantled. We have a deep, deep problem in American education today, and among the most serious victims are Jewish students. And we're going to fight back, and we're going to fight back at every university. We're starting a little program called Hurt a Jew, We Sue You. We're not going to sit back and just take this double standard, which has been applied. That's why on October 7th, I dropped everything I was doing to write my book, War Against the Jews, to tell the whole story about what's going on in universities. And I think it's very important that universities take responsibility for creating an atmosphere in which anti-Semitism thrives, anti-Americanism thrives, anti-Judeo-Christian tradition thrives. 97% of the faculty identify as liberal, 3% as conservative. Is that diversity? No, that's not diversity. That's only diversity of skin color, and that deprives our students of a real education.